A topic of fascination is prophecy. Prophecy merits a definition, possibly a joke, and an example or two, and something for you to think about. The definition of prophecy. To prophesize means to foretell or predict future events, often with a sense of divine inspiration. Other terms associated are soothsayer. Sooth is from the Old English meaning truth, and sayer means speaker. Meanwhile, fortune teller, that's from the 1500s Latin. Fortuna means luck or fate, and tellen means to count or reckon. So how about a joke? One day, a court astrologer predicted that the queen would die the very next day, when she really died the next day. The king wanted to get the astrologer killed, as he thought that he had purposefully conspired to kill the queen to fulfill the prophecy. So the guards grabbed the astrologer and they brought him in front of the king. And the king asked the astrologer, "You seem to predict very well. Tell me, astrologer, when are you going to die?" The astrologer, with dead seriousness in his tone, said, "I shall die 3 days before you, O great King of Kings." Needless to say, the astrologer's life was spared. So how about a few examples of prophets and prophecy? Nostradamus was a physician and an astrologer in the 1500s in France. He is known for his famous book, Les Prophètes. He had 942 quatrains in that book. A quatrain is a 4-line stanza predicting something that is grouped by centuries. So Nostradamus eerily predicted that King Henry II of France would die in a way that went like this. A young lion in a single battle will pierce the eye of an older lion with a splintered lance through a golden cage, leading to a cruel death. Those were a lot of flowery words, but it matched a joust subsequently, where on horseback, a young count holding a lance accidentally pierced through King Henry II's helmet and through his eye to his cruel death. Example 2, Edgar Cayce, born in 1877, transitioned in 1945. Cayce was known as the sleeping prophet, a clairvoyant who provided psychic readings in trance states. Many of you probably know something about Cayce. He had self-induced hypnotic trance states, often described as being asleep, when he delivered his psychic readings, also termed channeled messages. Cayce described these as his subconscious mind connecting to universal knowledge to allow him to provide detailed, insightful information. So believers of Edgar Cayce really loved his prophecies then and now. And skeptics, meanwhile, so that they were broad, obvious guesses. Here's an example of one of Casey's prophecies. Quote, "The greater portion of Japan must go into the sea." So what happened? Didn't happen right away. But March 11th of 2011, there was a 9.1 undersea megathrust earthquake occurring in the Pacific Ocean, Tohoku region. It lasted approximately 6 minutes, the most powerful earthquake ever recorded in Japan, and it triggered this powerful tsunami. It was waves that were 133 feet tall, traveling over 400 miles per hour. And it went 6 miles inland of Japan. Residents of Sendai only had a 10-minute warning to evacuate to a safe site. Unfortunately, more than 100 of those evacuation safe sites were washed away. On that day, it was much like today in Chicago. It was 32 degrees and there was snowfall. As a result of the tsunami, almost 20,000 passed and thousands were injured and missing. So that is something for you to think about. Does Nostradamus' words translate as truth to you? And do Casey's words translate as a prophecy for you? I started really thinking about this because it's half of the 9th principle of spiritualism, divine attribute proven through mediumship, prophecy. I started to really deep dive, and I realized that as a student, Morris Pratt Institute Seminary School for Spiritualism, there wasn't a whole unit on prophecy. And I had to know more. So what I did, which I often do, is I go into my library and I have a lot of different kinds of books, but my favorite books are the spiritual books, all the woo-woo books. And I looked for books on prophecy. And I found my NSAC Spiritualist Lyceum manual. So a lyceum is just a word for a place or a space where there's something to learn or exchange ideas and issues, whether it's for kids or adults. So guess what happened? I took this Lyceum manual and I put it on my lap, and I was going to open it to go to the index or to the table of contents. And you know how it is, books just kind of open naturally to one page. And the page it opened to said, the title at the top was 9, Prophecy and Healing Are Expressions of God. It was on the 9th principle. It opened naturally. Now, you got my attention, right? So quote the book. A prophet is a person who speaks ideas that God wants people to hear. That kind of stops me in my tracks when I hear the anthropomorphic word and version of God, as if it's he, which still is in some hymns. So I looked that up again, just as a reminder, and it's not a person. God is love. It's the conscience that tells us what is right and good and honest, true, kind, pleasant, friendly, useful, cooperative, and respectful. It's the loving energy. But I thought about that. And I realized I was still a little bit stuck. So I did what I often do, and I called Reverend Maurice Culberson. our former pastor, now retired, to ask her about what's the deal with prophecy in the 9th principle. Tell me. And she answered, Janyce, mediums are not prophets. Mediums are sensitives who pick up messages from spirit. Spirits in the force of all, whatever word. And these messages can be future focused. And she went on to say, Janyce, we cannot diagnose. We cannot prescribe how to treat something. We do not give lottery numbers. Because if we interpret what we get, or if we listen to the wrong spirit and we got that and gave that to someone, it could be wrong. You tell someone, go get your heart checked. Guess what's going to happen? They're going to have beating heart, maybe a little high blood pressure, anxiety. They could even trigger a heart attack. We do not harm people. So before she hung up, she added, you know, spiritualism is a way of life. We do get what prophets get, although we are not prophets. We get it. We get having a prophetic feeling, a stirring within us as mediums about future events. Okay. But it doesn't come from you, the person. So what I got from her is that a medium shares the subtle notion picked up from spirit, channeled from that higher connection, and gives what we got. But it has to be encouraging or neutral. It cannot be frightening or make anyone feel uneasy. And I'm telling all of you that on purpose so that you know if you get a predictive message from a medium, if it is in any way making you uncomfortable or frightened, it may be from the personality or ego of that person. It's not that higher spiritual connectedness that would want to frighten anyone. I found all of this very interesting and fascinating. And I'll tell you what, this is just the beginning for me. I am going to revisit this. I'm going to read more. I found NSA C bookstore has a book on prophets. I'm going to learn more and I'm going to talk about this in the future. And if you have anything that you want to know about this topic, do contact me because I want to hear what's most fascinating to you and what you're looking for. I can't get enough of deciphering what's the deal with prophecy. Thank you.